Hi, I'm Max Vonne, author of Faer. We're going to talk a little bit about creating a brand, and I think this is something that you want to do sort of as a mental exercise, is to imagine when you're creating a series and you're looking for that title of the series, imagine it sort of up in lights and think about it in terms of how people are going to be attracted to it. So we're going to kind of drill down into this a little bit and see kind of what goes into making a brand, and we'll start there, and then we'll talk about some components of this. What is a brand? Well, you can see over here we have a definition. I'll go ahead and let you read it, but a brand to me is just something that identifies something. You know, you hear the brand Coca-Cola, you know what it is. Everybody's had one, assuming. I don't drink that stuff anymore, but something that's instantly recognizable, and that's when the brand is really powerful. When you just know what it is, and you can never be confused about that. So some of the elements of great branding, you want to keep it memorable, just so people don't struggle trying to tell other people, "Hey, I found this great thing. I don't remember what it is, but I'd like to tell you about it." Recently, I had this experience online where I saw this great marketing campaign for a book series. Guy had a trailer, and it was just phenomenal. He was giving away free books. It was awesome, but thinking back on it, I can't remember the name of the series. I wanted to check it out more, and it just didn't stick with me, and that's really too bad. And that really highlights the value of having a memorable name. You want to keep it short. Shorter names are better than longer names, and that's just the thing that I've learned over the years. But you definitely want to try to aim for a short, easy to remember name. If it's catchy, one thing, my daughter's trying to get this shirt for Christmas, and it's Pickles the dinosaur. And somehow that's really catchy for her. So kind of developing an ear for what people find amusing or interesting. And that's something, it takes time and you develop over time, but you definitely want to be paying attention to that. You In the best case scenario, the brand itself would evoke images so that you are just naturally lined up to what it's about. Game of Thrones, like that's just a great brand name. The actual book series was called A Song of Fire and Ice, but I think they wisely revised that to Game of Thrones, just so much easier and more succinct for memorization. Um, Easy to pronounce, I think, is really important. And you could have really complicated names, and people just aren't going to be able to remember that and recommend it to other people. Um, if you think back at some of the great series and fantasy films and things like that, you just really remember Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. It just rolls right off the tongue. When you decide what your brand is going to be, I recommend getting the .com. It's one way to give yourself a little bit of trademark protection, and it's also something you can build off later on. If you wait, somebody may already have it, or somebody might grab it, and when they see your book out, they go, "Oh, does anybody own the .com?" And then they grab it, and then they end up squatting on it. So eventually, if your brand is successful, you're going to want to, build some kind of web presence for it. And so getting the .com, I think, is really important. Which part of your vision quest of your series, just imagine your brand everywhere. Could it be like, for example, on a bunch of t-shirts? I'm doing this for Faer, and I'm just getting started. I don't have a lot of product for this yet, but it's part of the brand vision. The types of things I'm imagining for Faer, obviously the books, that's where I'm starting, but I do want to branch out, get a lot of apparel, and a brand business can be more than just a fantasy series. It can be shirts, jewelry, fashion accessories, be just about anything. Games. I mean, I go through the list here. Computer games. I have this one in mind for Faer, but it's going to take me a long time to get that going because I'm not that good of a programmer. So I'm going to have partners on that one. You know, Imagining your fantasy series as a streaming series on Netflix or one of the other big providers like Amazon. That's thinking big, and maybe it doesn't happen, but I think it helps you kind of architect what you're going after to kind of understand that's a goal. You know, is the thing you're creating good enough to be in that environment? And that's a question you want to ask yourself. Obviously, films, and I kind of threw the conventions in there. It's just kind of like, hey, you know, you actually own that. You own all of the intellectual property around your brand. And there's a lot of ways that can be monetized in the future if you can get it going. It's kind of thinking big. You know, if one small fraction of any of this happens, you're going to be very, very happy. But I think, I'm one of those people that's better to think big than to think small, just how I feel about it. So to wrap up, you know, you want to try to develop a brand that is short, catchy, easy to remember. Think about how it's going to identify what your series is about, and facilitate the word of mouth recommendations, and just, you know, try to get something that other people are going to feel comfortable helping you with, right? Because every time somebody wears a shirt or they tell somebody else, they're helping you market that brand and that series. So you got to kind of try to dial into the name to make that easy for them and have some success there. So that's pretty much going to do it for this brief overview of brand and how it factors into creating a fantasy series. If you liked the video, please hit the like button and go ahead and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next video.